動けねえ。まさか赤髪海賊だ。何も卑怯とは言わねえがよ、海軍。疲れ切った新緑たちにそりゃあちょっと野暮じゃないか。そんなに怖いか、新時代が。お前らと戦う気はねえ。まだな。
How's it going, everybody? This week we're going to be running some Shanks at our locals tournament here, and didn't do too bad. Ended up actually placing 4th place with this deck. Pretty solid. This is actually, funny enough, this is my first time playing Shanks. If you've noticed, I haven't really played Shanks in any of the videos so far. I did play one for the Spin the Wheel series. I played 2 games of that, but I haven't actually touched this deck since, and it's kind of been on my mind the last few weeks, especially because it's been a deck that's beaten me quite a few times. So I decided to take it for a run here. We're playing against good old Buggy here. Buggy getting a few good upgrades in OP09. I said it again, I said OP09. Man, I gotta break that habit. But anyways, got the good old 7-drop Buggy, which is a pre-release card, pre-release winner and a pre-release participation card. Gonna be pretty great for that deck, though. It was pretty good back before Dofi got a little hammered here. Usually that card made it pretty good in the matchup, but Dofi just recently got a card banned from it. Yes, I'm recording this post-ban list. Dofi lost Jinbei, so that's gonna slow the deck down a bit. Luckily they didn't kill the deck, and there's me getting puddinged. I did not expect this from the Buggy player here. I think I had like a 7 or 8 card hand at this point, doing what Shanks does best, holding a bunch of 2Ks and a bunch of bricks in hand, wait until I can get to the point where I can play them. But that pudding's gonna teach me a lesson, gonna send me back down to 5 cards here. And I was holding up a the Red Hawk, and then I drew into another Gum Red Hawk, so I had it either way. And funny enough, I don't even think the Buggy, the player, even swings at me here, because oh no, they do, and I'm just gonna use leader effect. Decided to keep the Gum up. I could have used it there to take out the pudding, but I think right now what I'm really focused on in this matchup, especially against Buggy, is trying to keep the 5 drops under control here. Because one of the biggest things I'm going to have a problem with later in this game is potentially a 10-drop Buggy dropping down. 10-drop Buggy comes down, red rocks something, so gets rid of any character on my side. And then if he's got at least 4 other 5 costs or higher in play, he's going to stick around. Typically Buggy will bottom deck himself, but if that Buggy comes down, bottom decks one of my big threats, and then sticks around, that's going to be a big problem for me, as Shanks doesn't really have a whole lot of utility when it comes to removing big characters. So I'm going to try to avoid that as much as possible, but the Buggy player is going to try his hardest to continue to flood the board here. We go Crocodile into Daz Bones. Daz Bones is going to draw 2 trash, 1. Pretty solid little combo. But anyways, yeah, well, I'm curious to see how Buggy does now that we're going to have this like brand new OP10 meta. Following the ban list changes, it does lose some of its worst matchups. So Lucci and Black Sex in general, pretty darn good against Buggy, just because Buggy really needs characters to stick around. But if we're constantly KOing them, pretty good against them. I end up picking up a Beckman this turn. I think I'm on my 8-down turn. Would have loved to see a Rayleigh here, but don't have the Rayleigh. And instead, gonna have to work with a Beckman. Don't have like an Otama to reduce power even further if I wanted to like take out the Crocodile. But we're gonna go ahead and swing 6k with lead, gonna get a 2k out of hand, and then play out the Beckman. Beckman's gonna clean up the Daz Bones. Gonna try to keep the board under control here, because definitely don't want Buggy going too wide. But yeah, so Buggy again losing some of its worst matchups. You know, Lucci, I think we'll still see a black deck in the meta. Outside of Blackbeard, but it won't be nearly as powerful as it was. But thank goodness they got rid of Gecko Moria. That card was a stain on the game. I've been playing this game for a long time, since at least set 4. So I've seen a few sets. We're almost on 10 now, so at least 6 sets. And Gecko Moria was a stain when it was printed, and unfortunately they let it linger maybe a little too long. I really wish they would have gotten rid of it at the start of OP09, or even OP08 when they got rid of LOL. But they let us play with it. They let people continue to play Black Yellow Luffy. Now that deck is I'd say functionally dead. I'm sure people will find a way to make it relevant, but it'll never be to the status it ever has been. And thank goodness, that was one of my things. I made a video last week talking about things I wanted to see banned, and one of them, like my secret hope was that something gets banned to where Black Yellow Luffy's unplayable, whether it's the leader or whether it's some other card here. Opponent's gonna swing 6k. I got like one 2k in hand and one 1k. My hand is actually breaking up pretty hard right now. We've got a Roger, 10 drop Shanks, and a Dragon here. So if my opponent just starts to go face with all of these attacks, I could actually be in a whole lot of trouble here. I do have one blocker on board. That blocker is going to be pretty nice, but we're just going to use a 2k to get out of it. Deciding not to use a leader ability here. And yeah, so if my opponent goes wide, starts to swing heavy, he does drop another Crocodile. That's actually pretty scary for me, especially if he follows it up with another Daz Bones. There we go. Daz Bones going to draw 2, trash 1, nice little filtering. Buggy has some of the best filtering in the game. No stage out. I don't know if this Buggy player runs the stage, but stage is also just a great way to cycle through cards. This deck really good at finding what it needs, so I can kind of expect a big Buggy at some point. Just gotta kind of keep the board under control. Would love a Rayleigh right now, but I might just slam the Shanks next turn. But I have to be worried. There is a little bit of fear in me of my opponent just swinging all face and looking at my hand. Not too hot. Not sure what's in the top 3 of my life, but hopefully they're 2Ks. I'm gonna go back to my turn here. But anyways, as I was saying, Black Yellow Luffy, it's out of here, boy. Never gonna have to worry about that deck again. I have hated that deck since back when it was printed back in April of 2024. I have absolutely hated the deck. I even played that deck for a little bit on the channel, but decided I hated the deck so much I wasn't even gonna play it, even though it was good at the time. And I wasn't the best at it either. You know, I will say it had a pretty high learning curve. So players that got really good with it were very good players, but that deck was just so unfun to play against. You can see me thumbing Gum Gum Red Hawk in the front of my hand here, thinking maybe I shouldn't go for the Shanks play here, instead of go for a Dragon, hold up Red Hawk, because there is a potential that I will take a lot of damage on this next turn. My blocker is chilling, and as soon as my opponent swings and I kind of get a good opportunity here, I will be taking out that Daz Bones. But I think right now I'm kind of eyeing the Crocodile. So one of my big fears right now is my opponent using Buggy's ability twice next turn or once next turn to get another 5-drop and then a 10-drop Buggy into play, which would be pretty devastating because that Buggy's going to stick around. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and swing 8k into 7k here. Try to just eat some cards out of my opponent's hand. I think we're just going to keep sending all of these there. Now we're going to send a 7k probably into it, or maybe even an 8k. We're gonna go ahead and swing a 9k into it, and then I think we're gonna swing another 8k just to try to eat up all those cards. It ate a counter, ate a blocker, and then finally went down with the Shanks. So ultimately, I wasn't able to hold up 2 Dawn for Red Hawk, but hopefully that doesn't matter. Opponent only has 3 cards in hand. Opponent still has 4 life though, so it's a bit of life I've got to chew through. But as a Shanks player, don't really have to worry about it too much. But yeah, so Shanks may be set up pretty well in OP10 as well now with the ban list. I know Lucci gave Shanks quite a bit of trouble. Shanks did kind of have the ace in the hole with the Gold Roger for the Black Yellow Luffy matchups, but players got pretty smart about making sure that they have at least 1 life against that deck, against Shanks. So Shanks happy to see some tougher matchups gone. Blackbeard though remaining is kind of tough for Shanks. When I was playing at this locals, I actually did run into 2 Blackbeard players. Recorded one game, and that was just a slaughterhouse on their side. That was actually my one loss, was to Blackbeard. The player who was playing it was really good at the game and ended up being in the finals. He was one of the players in the finals, and actually ended up winning the whole event. But Blackbeard's a tough matchup, especially if you don't see your rushers. Right? I didn't see any dragons. I saw like 1 Shanks. You really want to see those in multitude, and obviously the spicy one of Roger in the deck would be pretty great against it as well. Opponent's trying to fight back on board here instead of going for lead, which is pretty nice for me. I don't mind a little battle on for characters here, because again, my hand pretty counter light at this point. But I think we're going to use leader ability to reduce down and then 1k out of that 8k swing. then we're gonna get a second 8K swing. I think we're just gonna full commit, and give two 2Ks because my opponent has no other way to take it out. We're gonna use Beckman as the cleanup crew. We're gonna keep swinging. I'm gonna have to take that one. We pull another Shanks, so one of those 3 life, not a 2K counter. But I think this is final. I think we're finally at a point where we can feel kind of confident to kind of slam down the Shanks here. We do pick up another Beckman, which ultimately will likely be just a 1K. But yeah, we're gonna slam the Shanks down. It's a pretty clean window to slam it down. I can use my characters to clean up his characters. All of them get minus 1,000, so that was the 7 into 5. With only 2 cards in hand, we're gonna go 9 into 6. There are actually 3 cards in hand, and then yeah, then we're gonna go 5 lead and then 12 lead here to try to trim some life off of Buggy, and pass the turn. This is looking pretty good for me now. Opponent dropped a whole lot of cracks, but they're gone now. But if at any point the Buggy player decided to start going face, I'm in a bit of trouble now. So it could definitely still happen. I'm definitely kicking myself of maybe not using that Gum earlier. But yeah, opponents just like discarding cards that are just useless in the matchup. Gravity Blade, fantastic card. Horrible card against Shanks. All of my characters are 7 cost and higher, which gets outside the range of Gravity Blade. But yeah, opponent's gonna show me a Buggy. So opponent had Buggy the whole time. So I definitely kind of sussed out his plan. But Buggy did end up coming down. Just gonna play. I think he did an activation of 5 and then discarded another Gravity Blade and just bottom decked my Shanks. So Buggy masquerading as a Red Rock here, bottom decking himself afterwards. And we're gonna go back to me. I'm at 1 life, so I think I need to think about potentially going for game here. But you know, I am picking up. You know, I got three 1Ks in hand. I've got another Shanks. I could just play another Shanks down, reduce his blocker down to a 6K to make my swings a lot easier into it. Opponent has 3 cards in hand, 2 life. Instead, we're gonna go the safe play. The safe play is playing Yasop and giving our leader plus 1K for the whole turn cycle, so a 6K lead. And I think we're gonna hold Gum Red Hawk up. So this is our defensive turn. Yes, we could have tried to go for game here, but I think we need like 1 more turn to shut the door here. We're gonna go 9 into 7. Opponent's just gonna let that go. Probably doesn't have it. Probably has a 2K, 1K, but probably doesn't want to give it up to go to 1 card in hand. It's gonna make my attacks a lot easier. We're gonna attach 2. We're gonna swing an 8K at lead here, trying to get slightly above. Slightly above Mihawk here. Opponent almost takes it, is thinking potentially does have a 2K in hand. But I think what we're going to do is just go, so we go 9K, 8K, 8K. Opponent's going to swing, going to block, and 2K, and then now we're going to attach 1 to Beckman, and I think we're just going to 2K check my opponent here, and likely just go 8K, but we could also just go at lead, too, because I feel like pretty confident that I can survive on this next turn, but I'll feel even more confident if I clear Mihawk here. No, we're going face. We're ballsy here. Saying you're not gonna swing with Mihawk. I've got like 6 cards in the hand, two Dawn up. He's not swinging with Mihawk. If he swings with Mihawk, I could just get out of it. Opponent's gonna go Pilaf. Pilaf is gonna be pretty nice. Gonna take them up to 5 cards in hand. But Buggy's a bit on the ropes right now. Could see another. If he drops another Mihawk, that'd be pretty good. But I have Roger in hand. So I really hope he sets me to 1. It sets me to 0. I might actually take the first hit, depending on how big it is. Opponent only has 7 Dawn left, but that's one thing. One thing you got to think about playing against a red deck is Roger activates when your opponent's at 0 life too. So I'm kind of baiting my opponent into swinging into me here to try to take me to 0. So this Roger will be a guaranteed finisher. But I think based on what's happening on the board right now, what my opponent's kind of playing out, plays another Buggy. Buggy's gonna drop bottom deck another thing. So my opponent just had all the Buggies in hand. Just Buggy Red rocks me, and only 2 Dawn left. Could use the 2 Dawn to swing. I think he's gonna go 7K into my Beckman here, and I'm just gonna use leader ability. Man, Shanks' leader ability is so versatile, so strong. It's really hard to play against as well. You just kind of have to either guess what's in their hand potentially, or just try to swing above a threshold where they still have to commit like 2K, 1K, so like 8K swings, stuff like that. But once they pop the once they use the leader ability, things get a little bit easier. But some Shanks players are pretty tricky. And I think we're just gonna slam down the Shanks here, and We're just gonna go all in here. We're gonna go 6k lead. Opponent's gonna 2k out of it. We're gonna go 5k lead. Opponent's gonna 1k out of it. I'm gonna go 7k lead. Opponent's going to take it, and then we're gonna go 12k lead, which is gonna definitely prompt a block from Mihawk, and we're gonna pass back to my opponent. My opponent could decide to split the Dawn and go heavy, but he only has a Mr. 3 on the board. Could go like 5 and 5, right? You could go actually, so you go 6 and 4. 6 and 4 would be an 8 and 9k swing, which is pretty good, But I did find some counter in hand. I've got a few 1ks and a 2k, so likely could have gotten out of that here. But that would have been my opponent's out at this point. Either that or like, I don't know, another Mihawk. But at this point, I think I would have definitely swung 8k, 9k. So 6k on Mr. 3, assuming I can't get out of it, but I can. And then 9k, and then just kind of hope at this point. Either that or flood with a bunch of blockers, but kind of hard. Does play one blocker, but my opponent is at 0 life. So you know what that means, folks. That means that means the king of the pirates is here. Gonna be dealing all the damage here. Opponent's gonna go 8k. I think that 8k is just going at my leader at this point. And we're gonna use leader effect. Actually, we're gonna think here. Yeah, we're gonna use leader effect and just save it. No, that was actually going at Yasop. So 8k to Yasop. We use leader effect 2k. Get out of it. And Goldie Roger's here to party. Gonna swing right in. Opponent can't get out of that one. And that's the game. Round 1. Shanks versus Buggy. If you like this type of gameplay, definitely subscribe. Join the crew. We're trying to get to 1,000 by the summer. Anyways, have a good one.